Hello, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm Lori Alton, and I'm honored to serve as your club president for the Rotary year 2021-2022. The Rotary Club of Columbus has a storied past, beginning in 1915, when a group of civic-minded people saw the need for leaders to come together to find ways to make our community better. And now, 106 years later, we're a vibrant, strong club that continues to place service above self. Our club is diverse, with members across all sectors of business, government, military, healthcare, education, nonprofit and community service, ministry, and the arts. And we come together each week as friends with a shared purpose of learning how we can be more involved in the things that matter to all of us. And we leave committed to changing our community and changing lives. As Rotarians, we are people of action, and it shows. The COVID-19 pandemic this past year has presented unique challenges to both our community and our club. However, as Rotarians and as friends, we've been steadfast in our commitment to our club, to one another, and to our fellow citizens. I've seen you reach out to others in need. You've stepped in to serve where there were gaps, and you've demonstrated love and compassion for others. But I'm not at all surprised, because that's what Rotarians do. This year, we're striving for some sense of normalcy in our lives, with our families, and in our club. We can once again gather together each week for lunch and fellowship, and I, for one, could not be more grateful. There are exciting things happening in your Rotary Club, and I'm glad you're part of it. As a service organization, the projects we're planning have a real-time impact on people's lives. So welcome back to Rotary. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making a difference in our community. Oh, we're prepared for anything, aren't we? Welcome to the August 11th meeting of the Rotary Club of Columbus. I'm delighted to see all of you here, and I want to offer a special welcome to those of you who are joining us virtually. So I'd like to recognize today our very own Isaiah Hughley. Isaiah was recognized earlier this week by the Georgia Municipal Association and inducted into the Municipal Government Hall of Fame. So I just want to congratulate him. And as many of you know, Isaiah has served as our city manager for 16 years and has been with the city for 30 years. And so Isaiah, thank you for your service and for making a difference in our community. And if any of you catch someone making a difference, make sure you let me know so that I can embarrass them. Highlight them up here each week. Okay, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I would like to ask Julie Sando to bring us the invocation in accordance with her faith tradition.
Let us pray. Lord, we give thanks to you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon our nation. We ask that you strengthen us each day in our service to one another. And as we look forward to this year's college football season, let our passion and support for our teams be surpassed only by our faith in you. We are reminded of Paul's words in his first letter to the Corinthians when he wrote, "Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." Lord, help each of us to run a good race. Amen. And go dogs. Oops. Sorry about that. And I wanted to mention the cans. We don't have physical cans. Well, maybe we do now. Okay. Well, we have a special one up here, so just wanted y'all to see this. And I wanted you to know that the first dollar that was put in here was by a tech man. So come on, dogs, let's fill them up.
Julie, is that the same as bipartisan?
Yeah.
And now it's my pleasure to ask Haley Tillery to please introduce our visitors and guest.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to introduce our guest today. Jimmy Elder brought his son, Johnny Elder, who is with Morgan Stanley. So glad to have you. Judy Thomas brought her brother, Mr. David Williams, dear friend of mine. So glad to have you back. And then we also have Hauser Pugh, who brought a former member of ours, Mr. Buddy Martin. So glad to have you here. And then we have Sally Hayden, who brought Charlie Pease, who is now a commercial underwriter at Sandov. So we're really glad to have you here as well. Let's give all of our guests a warm welcome to our Rotary.
Thank you, Haley. And at this time, I would like to call on Donna Morgan to introduce today's Colonel Puckett Soldier of the Week.
Good afternoon, President Lori and fellow Rotarians. It's my honor to do my first welcome of a military guest, and I wanted to make sure I point out that the first faux pas of the day was that I sat in Colonel Punkett's seat, and I'm aware of that, and so I won't sit on his chair again. So I have the privilege today of presenting to you Staff Sergeant Kulakowski, and I will have to wear glasses for this. Staff Sergeant Kulakowski, first name Charles, as an 11 Charlie indirect infantry fireman, let me get that right, indirect fire infantryman, he serves as an instructor at the U.S. Army Ranger School at Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that would prefer not to be thought of as only 25, he's almost 26. But I'll tell you this because I'm impressed by his career choice and that he wants to be a career soldier. So his previous assignments prior to Fort Benning included numerous positions from ammunition bearer to a mortar team gunner in support of NATO operations to platoon sergeant, and now is a ranger instructor in the 4th Ranger Training Battalion. His military courses and schools include Pathfinder, Ranger, Basic Airborne Course, Air Assault, and the Basic and Advanced Leader Course. His awards and decorations are numerous, but the ones that we'll call out today are the Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Army Achievement Medal, 1 silver oak leaf cluster, and the Army Good Conduct Medal with 2 knots, as well as he has the Expert Infantry Badge. His background: he was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and was happy to get away and let the Army show him the world. He enlisted on his 17th birthday. He attended first basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. Then he was sent to Italy, where he took advantage of the opportunity to see the world. To see the world there, and he loves travel, so that was perfect for him. He spent time at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and enjoyed the COVID pandemic from there, and then came to Fort Benning in February. He's seeking fun and entertainment, opportunities to travel and make new friends, so we're welcoming Staff Sergeant Kulakowski to join us today. By the way, he's a runner. If you can think of anything else, outdoor person, if you can think of activities you want to come up and tell him about, he's open to hear. Today we have multiple gifts for you, and I would like to present to you first the Army Challenge coin. He has informed me that he does know what to do with that and what that's for. One of the new things that we're excited to be able to offer is a certificate of attendance for joining us today. It's the Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr. Soldier of the Week, and this is presented to you today for you to retain. There is also, there's a book we'll present, and inside the book, by the way, is the narrative for Colonel Puckett's Medal of Honor, and that will be interesting to read, as well as his book, Words for Warriors, a professional soldier's notebook, and this was written by Colonel Ralph Puckett, U.S. Army retired. The inscription for this reads, "A professional soldier's notebook. This book is presented to Staff Sergeant Charles Kulakowski by the Rotary Club of Columbus, Georgia, in recognition and appreciation for his dedicated service to this great country in which we are privileged to live. Rangers lead the way. Colonel Ralph Puckett, U.S. Army retired, honorary colonel of the 75th Ranger Regiment from 1996 to 2008. One of the things I loved is he's met and talked to Colonel Puckett several times. Among other things, Colonel Puckett was at his first PT test out in the cold, and so he was able to share his words of comfort, support, and go get him, young man. Yeah. So my pleasure, by the way, to tell you is that this book was donated and presented to commemorate your visit, and it's given by Rotarian Phyllis Aaron in memory of her friend and hero, Brigadier General Harold Dye, U.S. Army retired, who served valiantly in World War II. One of his most gratifying moments was being among the first to liberate Buchenwald, and I apologize for that, concentration camp. And then scribed is also the Rotary four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better relationships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And so I would like to present this book from Colonel Puckett. And then finally, the Passport to the Arts. And I've spoken with him already to tell him that he should take advantage of these cultural opportunities in our town. So these are for a pair of tickets to all of these locations. So the River Center Performing Arts, the Columbus Symphony Orchestra, the National Infantry Museum, Columbus State Theater Department, and the Springer Opera House. So yourself and a guest are invited to attend. Now, unless he's changed his mind, he prefers to share no words with us today. He's still holding fast to that. So I'd like you to welcome, please, before you leave. Thank you.
Staff Sergeant Kulakowski, we extend our gratitude to you and all the men and women who wear the uniform and serve alongside you at Fort Benning. So please take back our message to them, and we would welcome you back anytime. So it's my pleasure today to ask our GRSP Chair, Ian Bond, as well as our new GRSP student, Geisha Haddad, to please come up here and introduce our newest Will Watt Fellow.
Thank you, President Laurie and fellow Rotarians. I'd like to invite Don Sando to come and join us as Geisha will present Don with his Will Watt Fellowship. This represents a $1,000 contribution to the GRSP, Georgia Rotary Student Program Foundation, which enables us now for 75 years to bring wonderful students like Geisha to Georgia for this incredible experience. So thank you so much, Don. And Geisha, you do the honors. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Don, for your generosity. Without you, we would not be able to have wonderful students. And it's an exciting day when we are able to announce a major donor to the Rotary Foundation. So at this time, I'd like to ask Past-president Michael Silverstein to make this special presentation.
Yes, it is an exciting day for the Rotary Foundation, especially given today is when we kick off Rotary football, which is the major fundraiser for our annual fund. But more importantly today is the fact that we are honoring Julie and Don Sando, who have become major donor level 2 recipients. And it is through their generosity that we are able to present them today with a beautiful piece of crystal and pins recognizing their donation. One thing that's interesting, and I'll make this quick, is back in August of 2015, and some of you may remember this, is when Julie and Don made a trek up Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. And as many of you know, that is the tallest mountain in Africa. And they did it on behalf of To End Polio Now. And as a result of what they accomplished, they were able to raise over $15,000 that went to the End Polio Now campaign. And all of the expenses that were incurred in participating with that were expenses that they paid out of their own pocket, which shows the amount of generosity and their service above self and the kind of individuals. So I'd like to now call on Julie and Don to present them with their gifts. Again, thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you, Julie and Don. And as many of you may not know, that when we get gifts like this, major donor gifts, as well as our ongoing contributions to the foundation, this money comes back to our club in the form of our competitive grants and in our district grants. And so it's money that we're able to take and use to better our community. So thank you both. Couple of announcements. If anybody watches the opening of the NASDAQ, if you are watching in the morning at 10 a.m., you will see our very own Rotarian Al Hayes and his team from Southern States Bank, who are going to be ringing the bell to commemorate their first day of trading as a public company on the NASDAQ. So kind of cool. And then the only other announcement is, if you have not been attending but you would like to attend in person, please RSVP by Friday. We'll make a spot for you. If you have a standing RSVP, all we ask is that you let us know if you won't be here. So I'm excited to have our 6-person head table back, and let me introduce everyone to you. On my far left, we have Julie Sando that brought us our invocation. Next to Julie, past President Tyler Townsend. And to my far right, we have David Hart, and next to David is Mac Plummer. And now I would like to invite Gene Kemp, if he would please come up here and introduce our much anticipated program today.
And not on Zoom this year, that's good.
Not completely.
Not completely on Zoom. First of all, let me just read this. I don't know if you saw on the Rotobit this week, but it said, a time-honored tradition in our club at the start of each football season. The Fearless Football Forecasters program is known throughout the Southeast as a gold mine, unrivaled gold mine of college football predictions and insight. It's actually rumored that each of the head coaches from Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Georgia Tech sends a scout to this meeting to pick up and gather information on how to adjust their strategies for the upcoming season. Now, our buddy Ryan wrote that, and I don't know if it'll pass the 4-way test, but I sure thought it was funny. Oh. You want to go now? First of all, I want to get Haley Tillery, who is the Executive Director of the Columbus Convention and Trade Center, to come up, and she is going to actually be our timekeeper for the program today, but she's going to tell us a little bit about Rotary football.
Hey, Gene. I am so excited to kick off another Rotary football year. As it was mentioned earlier, yes, this is a great competitive and fun game, but at the end of the day, it is one of the largest fundraisers for our foundation. So on your tables, you're going to see there's some green sheets. We have some more in the back, but this is going to briefly tell you the rules. Raise your hand if you've been a participant in the past. All right, I expect to see your name on the sheet, okay? But this is a great way to get involved. You can set up where you can sign up as an individual, or you can be a team of 2. And when the games kick off, every point that your team scores is $1 that is donated by yourself from the Rotary Foundation. Now, if you decide to do a team, it's 60 cents per team member for every point scored. And then we do cap that at 400, so there's some teams that may go over 400 points for the season, and we want that gift to be a donation to it will be a gift counted towards the Paul Harris Fellowship recognition. So again, you're getting a lot out of this. Have fun with it, and just participate. We want you to be part of the game and not just be a spectator, but truly play some Rotary football. So everything's on that green sheet. Please sign up. We just want this to be a fun season and make it the best year yet. Thank y'all so much.
Well, thank you, Haley. Over 40 years ago, the Columbus Ledger published an article dealing with fanatic football fans. And thus was born the idea of the annual Rotary program called the Fearsome Foursome Football Forecast. The program has entertained and informed Rotarians and guests ever since. While there's been substitutions over the years, there's never been a substitution for the passionate prognostications of the panelists. Over these 40 years, we've witnessed teams that have won national champions championships, conference championships, and others that went 1-10. We've also seen Heisman hopefuls that faded away in the sunset. We've noticed that each year, the off-season produced as many of the more interesting stories, and I'm sure this group's going to fill you in a little bit on that today. Let's see, what else did we do? Oh, pandemic last year, shortened the schedules and kind of really messed us all up on that. And now this year you got conferences like the SEC. They're going to be adding more teams over the next couple of years. So a lot of changes in football, plus the idea of paying players, and I'm sure everybody's got some thinking on that. But these guys are going to get into all that and kind of fill you in. First of all, let me introduce our panel. Andy McClendon had a business conflict and couldn't come today, but we were able at the last minute to get Mac, never seen a microphone he didn't like, plumber, to fill in. And we really appreciate Mac doing it. I mean, he literally, I called him about an hour ago. Mac is retired from St. Francis Foundation, and he didn't go to Alabama, but he did go to West Point and studies Alabama in detail. From Auburn, we have Dave Hart. Dave graduated from Auburn and growing up in Tuscaloosa. He is the general manager at WRBL-TV, and his family boasts deep roots at Auburn with 3 generations of Auburn graduates. He currently has twin daughters that are students at Auburn, and his wife is vice president of student affairs at Auburn. For Georgia Tech over here, we have Tyler Townsend. Tyler is the managing partner of Townsend Wealth Management. He's a graduate of Georgia Tech and serves on the board of trustees for the Georgia Tech Athletic Association. Tyler is very familiar with the Georgia Tech football program and loves his jackets. And from Georgia, we have Julia Sando. Julia is a senior probate judge in the state of Georgia and a triple dog graduate. UGA letterman, the daughter of a UGA football letterman, and Julia has seen and loved the Bulldogs for quite some time. She attended her first Georgia football game in Athens at the age of 9. I'm talking about 9 months, not 9 years. She was 9 months old when she attended her first game. Her family continue to be strong supporters of the University of Georgia and look forward to the upcoming season as always. So if we could start, we'll get Mac, if you'd come up and give us a little bit about what's going on in Tuscaloosa.
My wife had a timeout. My wife was in the middle of a Bible study, and I walked through to go get on my machine, my teeter-totter. It's kind of a new step elliptical machine. She said, "Mac, what's the rotary today?" I said, "The football forecast." "Are you doing that?" And I said, "No, I'm a has-been." She said, "Well, Gene Kemp has been calling you." And he had been calling me, and he asked me if I would do it, and then he called me again after I decided I told him I couldn't do it, and I had been thinking about it, and that would be the easiest way to do it, so to have very little time to do it. Now, this is a rotary program, so we got to consider the 4-way test. Question I'm going to ask you is, what's worse, lying or bragging? Well, if it's the truth, that's the cover right there. Now, then, is that all concerned? Probably not. Will it build goodwill and better friends? No, it will not. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? It'll only be beneficial to certain teams and players. Okay, we know that. Starting of the year, people say, "What's Alabama going to do this year?" I said, well, the coaches voted 63 out of 65 first place votes for Alabama being preseason number 1. The only 2 coaches who probably didn't vote for Alabama were Nick Saban and whoever that coach is at Auburn. Who is it now? Who's quit? Who's the coach at Auburn? Brian who? Hart? Okay. Okay, I think. Yeah, Gus got on the bus, and so they got a new coach over at Auburn. And Jimbo Fisher has been noted on ESPN telling them that, "Yeah, I'll tell you what, you tell Coach Saban, I'm going to whip him for sure." He said more colorfully than that. Saban said, they asked Saban about that. He said, "In what? Golf?" And now They sent Scotty Cochran over to the strength and conditioning coach from Alabama, went over to Kirby, stole him and took him over there. And they just let him go this week. I guess the mental intensity was over there, was too tough. But hey, y'all know Lonnie Alexander, that's who Scotty talks just like. I got 5 minutes, or I haven't been here 5 minutes. I got 5 minutes to go. Good. But he went over there, and I took my son and my grandson up to Alabama, and I saw Scotty Cochran's office when he was at Alabama, strength and conditioning coach. And up behind his desk was a first aid flag. And at the bottom it says, "Put dirt on it." So that, I think the reason Saban let him go was the fact he was tired of getting all these 4 and 5-star athletes hurt before the season ever started. And so they've got these PhD guys who are doing a better job of that now. Now, my granddaughter, about 3 or 4 years ago, when Tua Tagovailoa was playing quarterback at Alabama, she could say Tua Tagovailoa. She didn't know her ABCs yet. I mean, she could sing them, and she did some distance learning from Georgia Tech, and she could put together PowerPoints even though she couldn't spell, but during this COVID thing, but she could say Tagovailoa. I said, "Bill, and tell him who that is." She says, "He's my favorite baseball player." Anyway, Alabama's having some trouble in the preseason. They've got some things going on there. And the fact the coaches say it's going to be pretty tough for them. They got some tough things going on. But once they get to playing other teams, it shouldn't be too hard. So they're practicing each other. They're practicing against the best. I'm not going to try to list all the stars for Alabama because every one of them is a star. I ate dinner last night with a friend of mine, Larry Coger, huge Auburn fan. I mean, huge in several different ways. And he's talking, he said, "Saban's nothing but a recruiter for the NFL." I'm going, was there something bad coming after that? Were you going to make some negative comment about that? I don't understand. I mean, your coach, whatever his name is, he could do that too if he wanted to. But all the players at Alabama are great. And if you're going to, you pick a winner. I would love to see a game played between a team coached by Saban and a team coached by the Bear. Wouldn't that be something to see how it would come out? You got a lot more athletes. Bear had all the athletes, and anybody he didn't want to go somewhere else because there wasn't any rules, any stipulations on how many you could recruit or you could sign. Now you got to get the best you can, and they keep trying to change the rules to screw Saban up, and it keeps working in his favor. They said you can't. This transfer portal and all this going on. We got the number 1 linebacker in the country that Tennessee recruited a couple of years ago, transferred to Alabama, and Saban says, "I told you so." They're going to go where the grave is the thickest, and that's where it is, in Tuscaloosa. I love General Carmen Cavesa, one of our members, who used to always say, "Don't ever go into a combat or a competition when you don't have overwhelming odds of winning." And that's the truth. That's the truth today. It's true on the football field, too. That's why I say I would love to see Bear and Saban coach and the Bear coach team play each other. But that's what Alabama's got. They've got talent. They keep reloading. They keep recruiting the best players they can find. And my hat's off to the other has-beens. Has not been called lately, Ed and Ron and Bill Smith. And I'm going to actually finish earlier than I ever thought I would. I'll leave you all with the two little 4-letter words you can use in church, around the dinner table, anywhere else, and I'll put it to you just like our president does. Roll Tide. I'm doing it for you. Thank you.
All right, great to be with y'all. It's came off suspension last year. We did the Zoom call, and I think my speech went about 15 minutes, so I was suspended for a year. So it's good to be back with y'all today. But for 2021, changes in the air at Auburn. It's what best describes a football program. It starts at the top in December after an 8-year roller coaster ride that started with an SEC championship and a heartbreaking BCS championship game loss, but ended with 7 straight 4-loss or more seasons. Auburn parted ways with Coach Gus Malzahn. We went west and hired Boise State's Brian Harsin. That's his name. Write it down, Mac. A man known for his offense. He'd been an offensive coordinator both at Boise and Texas before getting the top job with the Broncos back in 2014. Brings a couple of coordinators with him with SEC connections. All you Georgia guys know Mike Bobo, veteran SEC offensive coordinator, known for coaching up quarterbacks, so we need that. Our new defensive coordinator is Derek Mason, who used to be Vanderbilt's head coach. Now, the three of them have to find a way to get more production out of a veteran team that has enough good parts to potentially be, as a whole, a pretty good team. So, offense, it all starts up front. Offensive line, 5 starters back, so that's good to know. The bad news is they aren't very good. We're able to get a few holes last year and kept most defenses out of the backfield, the exception of course, being Georgia. And so they were decent in creating holes for the running game, and so their size, experience, and maybe some talent there, but it all's got to translate into more production if we're going to get the best running back in America going, and that's Tank Bigsby. We all know Tank from Callaway High School up in LaGrange. He burst on the scene for Auburn last year, averaged over 6 yards a carry with a team high 834 yards, and that, of course, was an injury and COVID-plagued shortened season. Backup Sean Shivers, as you Alabama fans will remember, he's pretty good to find the end zone once he builds up a head of steam. So the offense, the ground game, has the potential to set the bar for the Tigers. Speaking of bars, a scrawny man is sitting at a bar in Tuscaloosa and says to the next team, "Hey, you want to hear a good Alabama joke?" The guy replies, "Hey, buddy, see that bartender? He played for Coach Bryant. See those 2 guys over there at the left? They played for Coach Stallings. See that group of big guys over there at the table? All of them Nick Saban first-round draft picks. And look at me. I'm 6'4", 235, and I also played for Coach Bryant." Now, you want to tell your funny little story? Scrawny man says, "Nah, it's okay. I don't have to explain it and repeat myself 5 times." So, big question in Auburn, again, on offense, also our quarterback. Bo Nix has really struggled in his first 2 years, inconsistent. His accuracy's not been great at times. He's also flashes of brilliance, so we're not quite sure what we're going to see there. If he does fail, we've got LSU transfer TJ Finley coming in. He's waiting in the wings, so we're hoping he'll bring a big arm and maybe he can be a force down around the goal line. The biggest question in the passing game, the receivers. We lost all 3 of our top receivers, got a lot of young freshman talent, a lot of depth at tight end, but the key will be, can Nix develop the chemistry? On defense, we've got to do better. After giving up more than 400 yards to Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Ole Miss in 2020, we finished in the middle of the pack for both defense, total defense and scoring D. Third down defense, that was a real rough area. We finished in the basement of the SEC in 2020. And speaking of basements, what do you call 20 Georgia fans in the basement? A wine cellar. On defense, there's talent, particularly among the linebackers and defensive backs. It's really strong. Defensive line is a question mark. Just found out yesterday that Tyrone Truesdale, one of our returning starters, is no longer with the team. Hoping a transfer from UAB named Tony Fair will give the Tigers a boost. So we'll see what happens there. Special teams in great shape. Anders Carlson's back for his senior year, expected to be an All-American. In good shape at punter, too. Although overall we're trying to improve our numbers when it comes to net punting. Speaking of numbers, how did Georgia Tech fans count to 11? 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. So finally, looking at the schedules, the Tiger is open with back-to-back cupcakes. Should help them build some confidence as we head to Happy Valley on September 18th to face Penn State in a primetime matchup against the Big Ten powerhouse. 2 weeks later, we go to LSU. We hadn't won there since 1999. A week later, Deep South's oldest rivalry sees its 126th matchup between Auburn, Georgia, and Jordan-Hare. Tigers will look to turn around what has been a very lopsided matchup over the past 15 years. My Tigers only beat Georgia 3 times in that span. Georgia among the most elite teams of the nation, potential there for an 0-2 start. Then we got to go to Arkansas, so suddenly 0-3 is a possibility. We welcome Ole Miss on October 30th. Of course, we finish with trips to Texas A&M and South Carolina, and then, of course, the Iron Bowl in Auburn this year. Hope is that the Voodoo House will be in effect and somehow we can pick a big win over Alabama. So schedule, pretty tough. My prediction, we're going to be a better team in 2021, but the record may not reflect it. I see Auburn winning 7 games and losing 5 games. SEC wins against Arkansas, both Mississippi schools, and sorry, Otis, I'm picking us to beat South Carolina. Tough losses will come on the road to Penn State, LSU, Texas A&M, along with close home losses to Georgia and Alabama. So that is my prediction for 2021. 7-5. I see us winning our bowl game, though. So,
It's times like these I've just got to remind myself the last time we played Auburn, we won. So, thank you, Haley. Thank you, Gene, for putting together Rotary football. It's a fun thing. I hope that you'll all participate in it. If you don't have a favorite team, if you don't follow football as much, it's spelled Georgia Tech. Just put that there. We'd love to have you. So with Georgia Tech, the athletic program is pretty optimistic right now. Things are going well for us. This past year, the school tied for the record for the most teams in postseason. We had a capital campaign of $125 million that actually raised $175. The Atlanta Business Chronicle named our athletic director one of the most admired CEOs, and our men's basketball won the ACC title, which is still important. And then that brings us to football. We're in the third year of the Jeff Collins era. Some of you may remember that he has replaced Paul Johnson and the option offense. So it's a totally different scheme. It's different personnel. It's going to take some time. We won 3 games each of his first 2 years, so we are looking for improvement on that. Our schedule does not help. It's been ranked the number 3 toughest schedule in the country by the folks that do this sort of thing. Based on the coaches' preseason poll that came out yesterday, we play 4 of the top 10 teams, plus another one that's ranked at number 16, and another 3 that will receive votes for the top 25. So it's stacked against us. How we're going to get better this year, number one, we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds last year. Penalties, y'all won't believe that. Penalties, we ranked number 119th out of 127 teams. Turnovers, we ranked 111th. And red zone scoring, we ranked 121st. So we know where we need to improve. And we're going to start that improvement with our field goal kicking. We made 3 of 8 attempts last year. After 8, we stopped kicking field goals. So we may have fixed this. The University of Tennessee's kicker, who actually was an all-SEC kicker in 2019, had some injuries last year. Has transferred to us, immediately available, so we're looking for some improvement there. Our recruiting for the last 2 years has actually taken a good bump up. We got 2 4-stars in this class, which I know for you guys that's nothing. You're drowning in 4s and 5s, but that's a big deal for us. And we really did well in the transfer portal. We got a couple more 4-star athletes, 10 transfers in all from schools like Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, and Mississippi State. A lot of them will play immediately for us. The two players that are really the stars of our team, they were both true freshmen last year. The quarterback, Jeff Sims, out of Jacksonville, started every game as a freshman, and he was on or he was off. He had some games where you could see brilliance. I think he had one game where he threw 3 or 4 interceptions. So one of the things with COVID is he didn't participate in spring practice, and even the preseason was shortened. So he's now had a full season and everything in between. And then our running back, Jahmyr Gibbs from Dalton, he's a preseason all-ACC selection and is going to do real well for us. So as far as this year, we are going to be a better team. We will be a better team. We have 8 games we're going to easily be underdogs against, right? So the media picks us to be 6th out of 7 in the ACC Coastal Conference. Last year, they didn't think much of us, and we did better. We're going to do better than they think this year. I see us going 7-5, being bowl eligible, and the highlight is going to be catching UGA looking ahead to Alabama in the SEC championship game, and we're going to squeak by 24-20 with a win in beautiful Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Some things you just don't believe. What, best team for last? Is that what this is about? Correct, okay. All right. Go Dogs. Got some supporters out there. Do I need to not? Well, never mind. As you know, when it comes to college football in the South, we're passionate about our teams. This is especially true here in the Southeastern Conference, whose teams have won the national championship 11 of the last 15 years. Well, in fact, the SEC is so popular that Texas and Oklahoma are knocking at the door, wanting to join the club in 2025. Should we be worried? Well, the schools to our left, to the west, are the most concerned, since the Longhorns and the Sooners are a combined 19-7-1 all-time against Alabama and Auburn. But that's the distant future, and we're here today for the 2021 championship season. Coach Kirby Smart and our Dogs entered the season with plenty of talent, a few questions, and some clear goals. Our talent starts on defense. The Dogs should dominate the defensive line with tackles Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, while linebackers N'Kobe Dean and Nolan Smith look to fill the cleats of NFL players Azeez Ojulari and Monty Rice. Freshman outside linebacker Chaz Chambliss from Carrollton is one to look out for. It's been reported that he has a David Pollock-like motor and all the intangibles to make an immediate impact on special teams, if not more. 4 starters return on our big offensive line, led by senior Jamari Salyer. They are ready to let the big dogs run. And again, the running back room at Running Back U is again crowded with talent and experience. Zamir White and James Cook return, having combined for over 1,000 rushing yards and 14 TDs last season. And with Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh, and Dejan Edwards, the Dogs have one of the deepest stable of runners in school history. So I see no reason why we cannot run the dang ball if needed. Quarterback JT Daniels looks to build on his strong performance from late last season when he led the Dogs to victory in the last 4 games, while completing over 2/3 of his passes, throwing for over 1,200 yards and 10 TDs. It's been a while since we've had a gunsling under center, and the offensive coordinator Todd Monken is looking forward to big plays and big scores. Our team does have a few questions, beginning with the secondary. Georgia's defensive backfield from a year ago sent 4 players to the NFL. We're going to look to West Virginia transfer Tyke Smith, who brings in much needed experience to complement the talent of players like Richard Seen and redshirt freshman Keely Ringo. Young defensive backs to be on the lookout for are Nyland Green, the nation's number 2 high school cornerback from Covington, and Amir Speed, a veteran player at 6'4", who will make a strong push for a starting corner spot. Now, our receiving core is long on talent, but a little short on experience. Kiera returns, having averaged 15 yards per catch last year, along with sophomore Jermaine Burton, who averaged over 12 yards per reception. We also have LSU transfer Eric Gilbert, who averaged over 10 yards per reception as a freshman. There are several young Dogs looking to fill the void left by the injury to George Pickens, darn it, including tight end Washington, whose 6'7" frame will provide an ample target for JT Daniels. Freshman tight end Brock Bowers from Wine Country, Napa, California, is expected to make an immediate impact as an H-back or tight end. And sophomore wide receiver Arian Smith should make a big impact as a deep threat after clocking 10.18 in the NCAA track 100-meter finals this summer. Good enough for 8th place in the country. So, with an experienced staff and a talented roster, the Dogs look forward to the season between the hedges and some exciting road games. A nice matchup in Charlotte with Clemson to start the campaign, and a friendly visit to the Plains for Deep South's oldest rivalry. Of course, Auburn has a new coach this season, and it looks like he's serious about improving his team. He asked several people to come speak to his players, including incoming freshman Suni Lee, the recent gold medal winner from the women's all-around gymnastics competition in Tokyo. She explained to the football team what it felt like to win. Of course, there will be some gator baiting in Jacksonville and a renewal of plain old-fashioned hate up in Atlanta. I hear that Tech coach Jeff Collins, who enters his 3rd season with the Yellow Jackets, was asked at Media Day, what would it take for this year's team to be more like a dollar bill? Coach Collins was unsure of the question, and the reporter clarified, you can get 4 quarters out of $1. So, it all begins in 24 days with clear goals. Put the best effort on the field every Saturday, wear the red and black with pride, and see y'all in Atlanta on December the 4th. Go Dogs. And I have a couple of predictions. I'm not quite through. So, do you know how to keep Yellow Jackets out of your front yard? Put up a goalpost. All right. Okay, so my predictions. While the fan in me expects the Dogs to run the table this season, the realist in me suspects a stumble along the way because we are in the SEC, not the ACC. Georgia will go somewhere between 11-1 and 12-0 and play for the SEC championship on December the 4th. Now, the trip to Auburn won't be an easy one. Suni Lee will inspire the team to a degree, yet the Bulldogs will prevail 34-21. One more second. Why did the Yellow Jackets cross the road? Because it's easier than crossing the goal line. The Dogs will again rule the state by swatting the Jackets 44-16. Go Dogs. I'm done.
Never disappoints, does it? Wonderful. So just a quick reminder that today's program, if you want some more of this, will be on Facebook, and also a link will be sent out. And if you're looking for a good time, tomorrow night is our next Zoom happy hour from 8. I hope you'll be there. And also, I wanted to let you know that we found a hearing aid on the way out to the parking deck, correct, Julie? If anyone lost a hearing aid.
Hold up a sign.
And I hope you'll join us next week for our program. Will be Dr. Ashley Hill. She just completed her PhD in epidemiology, and she's going to tell us about her journey. She's a product of Columbus, and so until our meeting next week, let's go out and make a difference. Thank you. Where's my bell?